Okay, I'm going to do some review problems with quadratic formula because we're going to do some practice with that. So if you are at home for any reason, you can look at these to help you solve the work for tonight. Okay, so first of all, before you do anything, let's write down quadratic formula or quadratic equation. Negative b plus or minus radical b squared minus 4ac divided by 2 times a. And the main reason we're using this is these problems here, you cannot factor them. So don't even sit there and try and factor it. It's not going to work, okay? Remember, make sure that the quadratic, the trinomial, is in standard form. Number 1 is currently in standard form, so we don't have to worry about that. And the number in front of x squared is always a, so in this case a is 1. B is the number in front of x, so that would be a minus or a negative 5. C is the number by itself, so in this case that's a 2. So I'm simply just going to plug them in. Remember, it's negative b, so if b is already negative, you can just go ahead and put a positive, but that's a minus 5, or a minus negative 5. Plus or minus, that's going to be negative 5 squared minus 4 times a, which is 1, times c, which is 2. Remember, these stay together. Divided by 2 times a, and a was 1. Alright, so all we're doing is cleaning it up. Negative 5, that's 5. Plus or minus. A negative 5 squared, negative 5 times negative 5, you don't need a calculator for that. That's a positive 25. Negative 4 times 1 times 2, that's negative 4 times 1, that's negative 4 times 2, that's minus 8 divided by 2. Alright, best we can do is clean up 25 minus 8 inside the radical. My answer is 5 plus the square root. 25 minus 8 is 17 divided by 2. Unless you can simplify the square root of 17, which you can't, that's the best you can do. And that's it right there. Okay? I'm just going to work my way down. I'm going to go to number 4 instead of going down to number 2. It does not matter. This is not in standard form. We need to move that over. Alright, how do we move it over? Plus 6. Who does it go with on the other side? Nothing. It's by itself. So, you have negative 2x squared plus 3x plus 6. Zero's on the right side. Alright, who is A? A is negative 2. Who is B? B is 3. Who is C? C is 6. Alright? So, negative b, that's negative 3, plus or minus, b squared, so that's 3 squared, minus 4 times a is negative 2, times c is 6, divided by 2 times, what was a? Negative 2. Alright, let's clean it up. So I got negative 3 plus or minus. 3 squared is 9. These all go together. A minus 4 and a negative 2, that's positive 8. 8 times 6 is 48. Again, you can use a calculator on this, doesn't matter. 2 times negative 2 is a negative 4. So the only thing you can really do is clean up what's inside the radicals. So what's 48 and 9? That'd be 57. So it's negative 3 plus or minus square root of 57 over a negative 4. You can leave it like that. That's fine. Okay? Can't simplify that, so don't worry about it. Alright? I'm going to go down to 2. And again, why are we doing quadratic formula? Because you can't factor these. If you sat there and said to yourself, alright, I'm going to try and factor this. I know x and x is x squared, but how in the world am I going to get a 7 and a 1 to add up to a 3? It's not going to work. So we're not even going to bother with factoring. We're going to do quadratic formula. So again, identify who is A. A is 1. Who is B? B is 3. Who is C? C is negative 7. We like this problem because it's already in standard form. So I'm not going to write the formula. The formula's up top. It's negative B. That's negative 3 plus or minus. B squared, if you just want to go ahead and put 9, because that's what 3 squared is, minus 4 times A times c over 2 times 1. You can just put 2 if you want to. This goes together. It's always a negative 4. Be careful. That's the biggest mistake people make. 9. Okay. Negative 4 times 1 is negative 4 times a negative 7. That's plus 28. Divided by 2. What's 28 plus 9? That's 37. So negative 3 plus or minus radical 37 over 2. Unless you can break down 37, which you can't, leave it. Best you could do. All right, 5. I know I'm going across, not down. We got two problems here. The 10 and the minus x on the right side. So let's get rid of the 10 with the minus 10. He goes here. Minus x with a plus x. And then let's fix it. So you didn't move. You didn't do anything to the 3x squared, so bring it down. You did a plus x, so 5x plus x, that's 6. Minus 20 and a minus 10, that's minus 30. Might want to use a calculator. You got some big numbers here. Okay, a is equal to 3. B is equal to 6. C is equal to negative 30. Okay? All right, so again, it's negative b plus or minus b squared. If you just want to go ahead and put 36, that's what 6 squared is. Minus 4 times a times c. You're going to have a big number here. Divided by 2 times a, which is 2 times 3. All right, so we get negative 6 plus or minus 6 squared is 36. Negative 4 times 3 is negative 12. You can use your calculator on these. So that's a negative 12 and a negative 30. That's 360, but that's a plus 360. You had two negatives there. Divided by 6, so I got 396. So what I have is negative 6 plus or minus the square root of 396. I can break that down. Divided by 6. Remember, we want to try and break down 396. Easiest way to do that is go to your calculator, go to y equals, type in 396 divided by x. I'm going to do that on mine real quick. So if I do 396 divided by x and go to the table of values, see if you get any good ones. I see 4 and 99. And I'm going to go with 9 and 44. Okay, I like 9, 3, and 3. So I know I got a pair of 3s. I like 44, 4, and 11. I know I got a pair of 2s. And a single 11. Okay, so when we go and write this, it's negative 6 plus or minus. The 3 and the 2 go on the outside, so 3 times 2 is 6. The 11 goes on the inside, divided by 6. Now, this shouldn't be too tough. What's a number that goes into negative 6, 6, and 6? It's 1. So, we need to account for that. That needs to be a negative 1. Plus or minus, you can put a 1 in front of the radical 11 if you want to, but you don't have to. You do not need to put divided by 1. Why? Because anything divided by 1 is itself. So, there's your answer right there. That's all you need to do. Okay? Now, I'm going to make two slight changes to number 3 and number 6. I'm going to make them so that when you graph them, they are above the x-axis. What that means is you are going to have a negative inside of your square root, which means it's going to be an imaginary solution. How do you get rid of a negative inside of a square root? You put an I outside the square root. So I'm actually going to change this one to 3x squared plus 5x plus 4. And I'll graph it and you'll see it too. Okay, A is 3, B is 5, and C is 4. So negative b, negative 5, plus or minus the square root of 5 squared minus 4 times a is 3 times c is 4 divided by 2 times a, which is 2 times 3. Okay, so we got negative 5 plus or minus 25 minus 4 times 3 is 12, but then it's a negative 12. Negative 4 times 3 is 12 times a positive 4, that's minus 48. We're going to have a negative number there divided by 6. All right, so question then becomes, what's 25 minus 48? We get negative 23. So right now I got negative 5 plus or minus the square root of negative 23 divided by 6. If you left it like that, you lose a point or two. How do we get rid of a negative inside here? Just put an I on the outside. So my answer is negative 5 plus or minus I radical 23 divided by 6. Now, unless we can break down the square root of 23, that's it. You can't break down the square root of 23. There's your answer. Just leave it like that. Now, I'm going to go to Desmos real quick just to graph it. So there it is. And I'm going to type it in, and then you should be able to see it. Okay, so we had 3x squared plus 5x plus 4. And as you can see, it does not touch the x-axis. That's called an imaginary solution. Anytime you see a graph above the x-axis, you're going to have a negative inside the radical, which means you're going to put an I outside the radical. All right, let's go back. Let's do the last one. I'm going to make a change to the last one as well, just so we have an imaginary answer, so you know what to do when you see this. Okay, literally the only change I'm going to do to this is I'm going to make the 2 on the right side a negative 2. Okay, so how would you get rid of a minus or a negative 2 on the right? Just add 2 to both sides. So we got 5x squared minus 3x plus 2 equals 0. That means A equals 5, B equals negative 3, C equals 2. Plug them in. So it's negative B, that's a negative 3, plus or minus negative 3 squared, that's going to be a 9, minus 4 times A is 5 times C is 2. Divided by 2 times A, that's 2 times 5. If you want to just go ahead and put 10, we'll clean it up later. All right, that is a positive 3. That, negative 3 squared, is negative 3 times negative 3. That's 9. This is negative 4 times 5. That's a negative 20 times 2. That's a minus 40 divided by 10. We got a problem here. What's 9 minus 40? Isn't that a negative 31? That's fine. How do you fix that? How do you get rid of a negative on the inside? Put an I on the outside. 3 plus or minus I radical 31 divided by 10. Unless you can break down the square root of 31, which you can't, that's the best you can do. There's your answer. I'm going to graph it real quick, and you'll see it definitely is going to be above the x-axis. Anytime you get a negative inside the radical, that's what that means. Okay, so we had 5x squared minus 3x plus 2. And there it is. It just sits above the x-axis. That's it. Okay. All right. So hopefully that helps you. Same thing. Check the assignment folder. I'm going to have this thing posted for 2 days. So make sure you check, see what is due for today. Other than that, I will